Hi everyone.
Greetings everybody.
Welcome back to Roll With Us. How are you doing today? So today we'll be talking to you about some of the things which have kept us going, which have helped us through these difficult times. If you haven't seen our first two videos, we'll leave the links in the description. So do watch those.
So we thought of sharing those sort of 10 points with you. We don't intend to be preachy in any of this, so bear that in mind.
Yeah, these are just things which have worked for us, and we hope that you might have some takeaways from this.
Alright, so grab your green teas.
As always.
Yep. So our first point is acceptance. And basically, when we talk about acceptance, we're saying, you've been given a situation, it's not easy to come to terms with. So you start to understand where you are and not where you were or where you can be or where you should be. You just kind of accept that this is my situation today. That does not mean that you resign to fate and say, "Ho gaya, what do we do?" There's nothing left for us, but just pure acceptance.
Another point which goes with acceptance is that you accept that this has happened to your body, and in this case, for both Adeep and me, Adeep was brave enough to accept this has happened, and he has never been conscious about his body or how he looks or that he's in a wheelchair. So whenever he's moving around, he's very free. He doesn't care when people are staring. We get a lot of stares, so we don't bother about the way people are checking us out or looking at us. And similarly, I also feel no embarrassment whatsoever in driving him around. We are together with each other the way we used to be, with accident or no accident.
We're trying to move forward, and rather than dwelling in the past, our focus has always been, we are here, this is what we have, what can we do with what we have? And that's a huge part of how Disha and I actually operate on a daily basis.
So this acceptance is a very big factor. It's all about forward looking. It's all about going forward from what has happened. So this is the first point which has helped us both a great deal. The second point is gratitude. Gratitude has helped us see past many of the things which didn't go that great, which weren't in our control. Learning to express gratitude and being grateful to those who care for you in the smallest of ways is a skill which helps a lot.
So for me, I have gratitude for just being alive. My mind works perfectly. Perfectly is subjective, but she might not agree. But I have a functioning mind, and I'm able to use it to my fullest capacity. Our education was of the sort that, even though we met with this accident, we've been able to continue our careers in different ways. And Disha was working for 3 years after the accident?
Yeah.
3 years after the accident. And then she had to, take a step back and pick up a contracting role. While I've been able to continue full time in my desk and chair job. Can't thank the people who've supported us enough, friends, family, doctors, medical experts, employers, team members, colleagues. Gratitude for the situation we're in, and we have the resources that we need to be able to cope with this. So that's a huge part of how we move forward.
When the accident also happened, we were really relieved to know that there was no heart injury and there was no brain injury. So that was something to be grateful for, because those would have added to the complications at another level.
Endless amounts of gratitude to Disha, who's been there with me from the very start of this and continues to stand by me. Without her, my day won't begin and I won't know where to start. And, it's because of her that I am where I am and we are where we are. Without her, I don't know whether I would have survived to begin with. So, thank you.
The third point is family and friends. So throughout this whole journey, throughout this whole traumatic time that we have had, the kind of support we have received from family, friends of friends, extended family is absolutely incredible. I can't imagine how kind people have been and how helpful they have been. Even when we were in Kerala and the accident happened, so many of our friends flew down to Kerala just to meet us, to be with us. They just dropped whatever they were doing in their busy lives and they just came.
I remember my brother was on vacation in some exotic location. He dropped his vacation halfway through and came.
It was my sister's wedding almost 3 weeks after this accident happened, and even she was there with me till pretty much the last day. Like, I mean, just a couple of days before the functions, she had to leave, and she was willing to, obviously cancel the wedding and reschedule the wedding. But I just said, you go and let Adeep just come out of the ICU, and I will be there. Even Adeep's parents, they were there with us throughout, obviously, and Adeep's Bua also, Adeep's Mamajis from Chennai. There were about 12, 14 relatives, including parents and uncles and aunts, who were constantly there with us in Chennai for all the things which needed to be done there. There was
Kerala.
Sorry, Kerala. There was blood units to be organized. There were decisions we had to take, so we would all sit and brainstorm because Adeep was in the ICU until the surgery happened. We would sit with the family to brainstorm what should we do, how should we go about things. So all these things, because there were so many people applying their brains, using their resources, finding out the right information,
Using their experience.
So all this helped a lot, and family and friends support has been a huge, and again, gratitude to all of them. The next point is spirituality. So if I were to be asked that what was that one thing which kept you going, for me, it has to be spirituality. I have always been that person who has immense faith in God, and I believe very strongly in spirituality and the principle of karma. I read Bhagavad Gita on a regular basis. For this, I have to thank my mom because she's the one who inducted me into the spiritual journey. It helped me a lot to, see things in the right perspective. And so I believe that whatever happens is for a reason. It's now our conscious choice and our conscious decision to see how we deal with this and how we take it forward.
When the accident happened, her brain was basically working perfectly to make all decisions and assess all situations and make the right decisions, before family came in and they started to chip in. So for the first almost 18 to 24 hours, people could have shut down, people could have broken down, but she didn't. She continued to be in charge and essentially own the situation that we were in. She's never done anything like it before, and she and her parents both believe that this is all an outcome of her being close to spirituality and reading the Bhagavad Gita and kind of absorbing those principles so that when the time came, she could rise to the occasion and actually do what was needed to be done. She actually broke down for the first time when her parents came, and until then, she stood strong.
I remember that when the accident happened, initially I was also passing out. I was feeling dizzy and I thought, this is it, I'm going to pass out as well. But there was this force from within which just kept me going, and it told me, no, this is not the time. You have to stay strong. You have to wake up. You can't pass out. And that just kept me going. And even in the ambulance, I was praying. I was reading the Hanuman Chalisa. And there was this force of divinity. It was definitely not my own because I've never seen anything like it before. So it was definitely something which was coming from within, but it was a divine force which kept showing me the way. And I do believe that if you keep faith in God, He will never let you down. He has never let me down. Even to date, if I face a tough situation or if I feel stuck, God is the first person I turn to. I seek guidance and I seek calm and peace. That has been a big coping mechanism. Spirituality is a big part of who I am. It's been all God's grace and strength which has guided us in the right direction, brought us where we are today.
Point 5. Keeping busy. When I say keeping busy, I'm talking about how you continue to engage yourself in some sort of profession. When the accident happened, I remember that my employers were kind enough to retain my role and did not fire me. So thank you for that. I had one exam left, and even after the accident, I was preparing, to write that exam. I had lost the ability to focus on something. And I remember that if I used to watch TV, within 15 minutes I would forget where we started and what's going on. And it took me a long time to actually build back my focus. I used to wonder if I'll ever be able to get back to work. Will I ever go back and see an office again? Those were real questions to me. I had worked very hard to get to where I was professionally, right? And I did not want to lose it. because of what had happened. I spoke to my manager back then and he supported me with this decision. I worked part-time for a few months before, I resumed full-time from home, and then started going to office a few days a week, and then picked up, and then eventually, started working 8 hours. Completing my studies was a part of, making sure I'm busy in the right way. Resuming work and making sure that I'm being productive for myself was a huge part of how I felt, that I'm being valued, not only as, somebody in my office, but also as just for myself, really. That's the way I put value to myself.
Yeah.
So those were the things that we did, from a keeping busy perspective, to make sure our brain is occupied enough to not have space to think about things which wouldn't have added any value.
Even for me, I resumed full-time work almost 3 months after the accident, and all my colleagues and my seniors were supportive enough to let me take that break which I needed to come back, to get things settled here, to build a routine for Adeep, and then get back to work. After 3 years, I thought that it was getting too much for me to, juggle a full-time role, as it became more and more demanding, and the situation at home. So that time is when I decided to, take a break for some time and find another model for me which works given the time I had on hand and our scenario. And I have found an arrangement which works well for me now. It was always my priority to look after home first. My first objective was to get him back to work, and then I would figure out what I can do, find an engagement for myself. And we are both happy and satisfied in whatever we are doing. Before we went to Kerala for this vacation, we had actually spoken to consultants in London, and we were all set to come back from that vacation and interview with some firms and take up roles in London and relocate to London. So all that obviously went for a complete toss. We were just trying to get things back on track at a very basic level. So relocation was not on the cards at all that time. So it's okay. Things change.
That's the acceptance. It happened.
Yeah. The next point is accessible surroundings. And by that I mean both an accessible workspace and an accessible home.
We used to live in a colony in Delhi. Disha and I were living on the ground floor. My parents were living above us. The house was small. The doorways were not designed to be wide enough for wheelchair. I would spend most of my time in the bedroom. All of our therapists were telling us, you need to sit in the wheelchair and move around. The biggest challenge was if I sat in the wheelchair, there was nowhere to go.
We had a physiotherapist who was helping us with the rehab, and he encouraged us to move out to an accessible home. That idea really stuck with me, and I thought that we need to move to a home where Deep has access to the entire house and he's not just confined to one room. I used to have a full-time job back then, so I remember in the lunch break I used to go around looking for a home, and we decided that we'll find an apartment which was close to both our offices.
Correct. For 3 months, nearly every day she would go out. The broker would take her to different houses.
I would measure each doorway, because his wheelchair would have to go through.
Starting with, the entry, the ramps, or whether there are steps. So I think we started the exercise when I resumed my part-time work from home. Within a few months, we want to be in a position to go to the office. Before I resumed my work from office, we basically relocated. That home was big enough and spacious enough for me to actually go to different rooms, to do different activities, and not be confined to the bed. It suddenly gives you the will to think that, okay, there is more to life than just lying in a bed and staring at a ceiling for 6 months.
Yeah, like great. I remember he used to love to go out on the balcony, get his table set there, ask for his guitar, have his lunch there out in the sun. So it was just so nice to see him enjoying nature, enjoying a view, playing the guitar, enjoying what he does.
So suddenly that whole, why don't you sit in the wheelchair for longer, got answered because I would sit in the wheelchair. There was a reason to sit in the wheelchair. Disha was the only person in the family who thought that this move is feasible. I was very scared because we had never lived out, and especially in this scenario now, it would be even harder. My parents and Disha's parents were dead against the idea. She stood single-handedly against us, and she says this is happening. And very soon after she made it happen, we all actually started to see the value in her decision.
And again, it was some divine guidance and divine force which just pushed me to stick to my ideas, and then of course guide me through finding the new house and move into it.
No, this was just the Taurian inside you. This was just the bull.
That too, that too.
Yeah. Making your space accessible to whatever extent you can is a huge step forward in dealing with disability in that sense.
The next point is hobbies. I'm sure all of you would know what value a hobby gives to your life. So this is essentially just that point. Music is one thing which has a huge positive impact on both of our lives. We both have our different interests in music. I like to sing, and I like to sing mostly Indian Hindi music, and Adeep is more towards the western side, but music in our own ways has helped us a lot. We try to jam together at times. Whenever I'm feeling low or having a mind fog, I just start doing some riyaz. I just start listening to something or sing a song or two, and it cheers me up.
Every time I feel I'm stuck, I basically listen to music. If I have the chance, I play music, and just listening and playing, it changes my mood, it changes my thought process. It takes me to a different place. I'm able to zone out. I'm able to be in my own space. And then after some time I come back to reality and start to deal with whatever it is that I have to deal with. It's a huge part of how I operate, and it's one of the core ways that I deal with stress.
We feel that joining a formal class has helped us get on track a lot, and it makes sure that we practice music on a regular basis.
Correct.
Another common hobby for both of us has been traveling. We weren't much of travel freaks before we got married. After we got married, we both really enjoyed traveling together.
It gives us a lot of new perspective.
Yeah, and a change of scenery and space, it really helps me clear my mind and just take a break from the routine. Although for us, it introduces its own new challenges because every place is not equipped in the same way to deal with disability and accessibility. But we are learning how to deal with that.
These new people that you meet, these new challenges that you face, this new perspective that you get, change of space, change of scenery, it is absolutely essential to reset and to be able to come back and pick up where you left it.
It's really refreshing to explore new places.
Other things that I like to do, I like to read. In the last year, I've not done much reading because I discovered a PlayStation in my house and I've been playing the hell out of it. It's very refreshing for me to be able to dive into this world and do things normally that I can't do because video games give you that ability.
Some of the hobbies which work for me, the first is driving. So sometimes I'll, just take the car out, put on some music which I like and just completely zone out. And it refreshes me. It just works so well for me. It's a very good pick-me-up. Another thing which clears my mind a lot is workout. So initially I started working out just to physically be fit enough to be able to help Adeep.
Yeah, I remember that. You used to exhaust yourself out and then one day you took it upon yourself that, what, I'm going to work out and I'm going to be strong enough and fit enough to deal with this lump of fat.
So initially it just started out like that, but as I took to work out, it became such a passion that I started enjoying it and I saw so many benefits from it. I would completely switch off from worries and stresses and I would just be in the moment. Sometimes it would be yoga, sometimes it would be strength training. It just helped me. Another thing which I find really therapeutic of late is beauty. And
she discovered her teenage self recently.
Yeah, he tells me that what were you doing when you were in school and college? For last couple of years, I've really developed this sort of passion for beauty and skincare. I like to do makeup. I started finding it therapeutic and I really enjoy sometimes just sitting and painting my face and
Try doing Avatar, dude.
Not got there yet. So these were some of the hobbies which make life fun, exciting and refreshing.
Not to promote consumerism, but I would say retail therapy is a real thing.
Oh yeah, it really works well for me.
I don't know if it should be classified as a hobby. Maybe we should clip that off.
Let's see.
8th point. Humor. Haha. One of the ways that I cope with stress and difficulty is humor. That stems from trying to find humor in all sorts of situations. I sometimes do this in inappropriate places and times.
Yeah, initially I used to find it really irritating. Like
she used to find it weird. She's like,
funny?
why are you laughing at this? Is this funny? I'm like, yeah, maybe it is. And over time I've trained her to understand that you can actually laugh at stuff and you're not hurting anybody.
Laugh at yourself.
Laugh at yourself.
That's one thing I've learned from him. I would be very conscious and not make fun of people.
You still
and be very
don't, but
prim
if
and
somebody
proper.
else does, at least you're able to smile.
Yeah, now I'm able to take it, but initially I was a bit of a, uptight person as far as humor went.
Being able to find humor in difficult situations is a huge part of how you can just lighten the environment. A lighter mood just makes things easier.
And we love watching comedy shows. Sometimes just the act of laughing eases you.
Do the funny stuff, it helps.
So the next point is cherishing the small joys of life. You don't have to always make a big deal out of things to feel happy about. We have learned over this past few years that never to take anything for granted and find joys in the smallest of things. It could just be a coffee date. In fact, when we used to go to hospitals also, even for treatments and for tests and diagnostics, we would make a date out of it. We would find a good cafe either inside the hospital or close by, or tie up the hospital visit with a movie. It's just figuring out for yourself how you can extract joys out of everyday life. You do your stuff, whatever you need to do, you keep doing, but keep cherry picking those joys and cherish them and feel good about them.
Right. So, for example, for me, listening to music is a big part of that. So, every morning when I go to the bathroom, I'm there for 45 minutes. There'll be blaring music.
In fact, he has a speaker in pretty much in every corner of the house. One in the washroom, one next to his bed, one in his.
Hey, that's it.
One in
my
his
office.
one in the living room. So I think we have 4 or 5 speakers in the house, because music gives both of us so much joy. So wherever we are, we can just connect and play something, and it's nice.
Yeah. So we made it easy for ourselves to enjoy the things we like.
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that you need to find me time. And while Nisha and I love each other and we love each other's company and we spend a lot of time together, we do need our me time. We zone into things we like doing independently without the other person. That also gives us time to decompress from maybe us getting into each other's hair. I think another point is self-love. While you are busy doing all of these things for each other and working, you need to take time to appreciate where you are, who you are, what you are, and just do small things for yourself that make you happy.
Sometimes I'm at home and I just like to dress up for myself. I think it's nice to groom yourself and dress well. I think it helps to feel good about yourself. At least to me it does.
Yeah, I think the point is find what works for you and do it.
The last and the 10th point is to learn from everything. I feel that everything happens for a reason, and my thought always goes towards what is this situation trying to teach me? What is the takeaway for me? So, no matter what happens, especially after the accident, I have developed this kind of a mindset in which I'm always trying to learn from whatever has happened. Not get so bogged down by the negativity of the situation, but always trying to come out of it by taking away a learning from it.
I think the big change was we realized life is fragile, okay? And it can change in the blink of an eye. That means it is up to you to make every moment valuable and worth living. How quickly you bounce back from situations, how quickly you say, okay, let's move on to some of the good stuff in life and do those things, because those are the things you really want to do.
And remember
And talk about and, live.
Somebody asked me a while back that, how are you managing? How do you deal with things? So I thought about it, and this is the thought which came to my mind, that I feel that every moment is so precious. It has the opportunity to give you so much. I just find it such a waste to, not spend it in a positive manner or in a pleasant manner. So that's the reason that even if something happens, it might throw me off, but then I know where I have to get back to. That is why I always try to pull myself out from a negative situation and do whatever I can to fix it, because I don't want to waste that moment for myself or for someone else. I just feel that life is too short and too precious to waste on negativity.
Yeah. Another thing is that, you need to choose your battles. Not every issue is worth fighting for, and not every person is worth fighting with. Okay, we have a bonus point for you. The bonus point is don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, this just came to us while we were talking, and I have noticed that people are actually kinder than we take
Make them out to be. Yeah.
Many times people just don't come forward to help because they don't want to offend you. So they are just staying away thinking that okay, you are managing. But the moment you express any need for help, they are just so forthcoming and they are willing to do anything. And we have experienced that so many times. So that's another point, that don't hesitate to ask for help, be it physical help or mental help. Be verbal about it. There will always be people who are willing to help out.
And they're willing to help you with a smile. It's not like they're doing you a favor. There have been people in most cases whom we don't know who've actually helped us out.
Exactly. That's
Things-
what I was going to say, that most of them have been strangers who have just come forward in the most beautiful manner. So many times it has been God-sent help that we can't even imagine, and things have just fallen in place because people have come to help.
Yes. So those have been our 10 plus 1 points on how we have coped with our situation, our adversity, our challenges, our difficulties.
It's made us who we are today. It's a part of us. It's what has given us a lot of joy and strength.
So if you have any points that you want to share with us, please comment below and we would love to hear from you.
In fact, why don't you tell us what is that one thing which helps you every time
Oh yeah.
cope with adversity? We would love to add to our list.
Yes, we would love to expand our list.
So come and tell us in the comments below, and like this video if you found it useful, helpful, if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to our channel for more. Alright, that's it for today's video. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't hyperventilate, take it easy. It's not a stressful thing. You're trying to tell people how to deal with a difficult situation. Fucking hell. Like, I'm gonna tell you, I can't.